I have Angela Schaefers in the house. And I know none of you know who she is, I think. I don't think any of you know her. I'm not going to spoil her story, which will matter to every one of you. And then there's so much more. So whenever you want to hit it, make sure that volume's up.
I have fallen again into a sea where I cannot swim. Do you hear me calling to you? How many times till you say you're through? I'm turning to these words you have spoken. There's nothing I can do, 'cause I'm so broken. So I give it up to you, 'cause I know it's the one thing you want me to do. Give it up from my knees. There's no saving myself, it's only you saving me. Back on my feet again. You walk with me, you are my friend. Now I see through new eyes. You're the only one that'll never say goodbye. I'm turning to these words you have spoken. There's nothing I must do, 'cause once you were broken. So I give it up to you, 'cause I know it's the one thing you want me to do. Give it up from my knees. There's no saving myself, it's only you saving me. In this world you don't want to fight alone. In this world you don't want to cry alone. And now you never have to be alone. So I give it up to you, 'cause I know it's the one thing you want me to do. Give it up from my knees. There's no saving myself, it's only you saving me. Saving me. Saving me. Saving me.
And as you can see from the video, waking up each day is exciting for me. I'm grateful to be alive. 8 years ago when I was diagnosed, almost 9 years ago now, I was told that my life would be ending shortly. So I truly do celebrate each day and wake up and am excited to live and do what I can to empower other people to live their life the best way that they can. So I'm excited to be here today and talk about some of my story and hopefully encourage you to learn from your story and then to share it with others to encourage and inspire them. And you know, in the workplace we're kind of trained to like not say a lot of stuff because we don't want to be embarrassed and we don't want people to know too much. But the truth is that when you're doing that, then you're creating more of a disconnect. I mean, these are people, like I said before, that you're spending a great deal of your life with. It's like when we send our kids to school and apparently they're at school being raised by someone else like 3/4 of the time, which is scary to me. So, so at work, you're really living like a full life here with these people you work with. And if you're not really engaging and communicating with them and sharing your story and listening to their story, I think you might be missing out on things that really could be encouraging and inspiring to you. And I think you might especially think that the person next to you, for instance, has never, ever gone through what you have or felt the same way, but in fact they have. And it might not have even been the same exact circumstance, but something similar. Because we've all felt shame and guilt and wished we could, you know, go back and rewind the clock and do things differently, but that's not how life works. And so instead of talking about that, learning from it, and then sharing with others what we've learned, we keep all that kind of hidden. And that's what I learned in sharing my own story. So when I was diagnosed with cancer, which was almost 9 years ago, my kids were real little. I had a toddler son, two grade school kids, and I was devastated. And I figured, well, if I'm going to die, I want to tell them about me. So I wrote my story, and I wanted to share mostly like my childhood, what I had been through, how I became who I was. And I had a friend read it, and she said, you've got to share this with the world, because this is encouraging and inspiring stuff because of the things I had been through and gotten through, survived. And I really didn't want to, because it was like personal, you know? I mean, who really wants to stand up right now and tell us about your childhood? Seriously, anybody? Because I'll let you if you want to, but most of us are kind of like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. Between like the clothes we had to wear and the haircuts and stuff, and then the bad things that happened, nobody wants to say that stuff. So I figured that since I was dying anyway, I would go ahead and do the book in case it might help somebody else, in case it might encourage someone or change their life. But I still believed that it just didn't, my story didn't matter, that it was just my little story. It wasn't anything spectacular. It was probably very similar, in fact, to some of the people in this room. So I wrote the book, and as things evolved and I started sharing it more and more with people, I was very struck by the idea that people would come up to me and say that whatever I said encouraged them or inspired them. The things that I said were truthful things that nobody else was talking about or would be willing to say, at least not publicly. And they needed someone to say, yeah, I've been there too. I get that too. I feel that too. And that is very, very powerful. So even short of writing a book and sharing your story in that way, just remember that there's a lot of power in people knowing what each other's been through. You start to have empathy. You start to think of them differently. In fact, someone in this room who you might have like conflict with, or who you might feel like, oh, there's that one person at work that just drives me nuts. They're probably the person that has gone through something similar to what you've gone through. And if you knew that, you would probably have more compassion and empathy for them. But we don't know because we're not sharing our stories. You probably have so many stories within you that you have overcome obstacles and challenges along the way, and somebody maybe right next to you needs to hear what that is. So that's part of the goal with the cards today, is to write down something you've been through. It can be whatever you want. You don't have to have your name or any details, and what you learned from that. So for instance, I went through, you know, my friend's death, and I learned X. I learned to cherish life. You know what I mean? Something like that. And then we're going to give them out tomorrow, I guess, or
right, so Dory, are you, yeah, Dory is going to collect them all. You can keep your name off them, just what Angela said and what happened and what you learned from it, and then we'll randomly circulate it, so you'll get, when you come to work tomorrow, at some point you'll get a card with somebody else's story and what they learned from it. You won't know who it is, but hopefully you'll learn from it as well. And then we're going to figure out over time what to do about that.
Well, I'm excited to see what happens with the cards, and hopefully everybody will get something cool that they really hadn't thought of or that they learned from or experienced. So if there's one thing that you remember today, you don't even have to remember my name or anything about me, but I hope you remember that your story matters and that you matter, because really without your story, without you, this world wouldn't be what it is, and I really encourage you to share it with others. If you want to listen to some of the archive shows and people's encouraging and inspiring stories, you can go to yourstorymatters.net. You can also contact me there through our contact form or my email there, and I would love to hear from you, and I appreciate you, everyone listening today and doing the exercise, and I hope it helped in some manner. And we're going to show a short clip, and then we're all set. You know, when you come from a place of feeling like you're not important enough, or you're not good enough, or you've been in difficult situations, especially as a child, you need to feel like you matter. And when I realized that it didn't matter how much money I had, what car I drove, what I wore, so many things didn't matter because my story mattered. I mean, I can take my story anywhere and encourage someone. And that means a lot to me. That's like priceless.
Here she is in Chicago, a radio star, author, an inspiration to many across the world. Big final round of applause. Thank you. Thank you.